Hey y'all, welcome back. Welcome back to Marriage in a Minute. I have to say this every single time. God bless. We missed Jamaica, missed the hurricane and Cayman Islands, but our thoughts and prayers are going out obviously to the other islands who lost everything, almost everything. So we've been praying, we've been just really praying and hoping for the best because obviously these hurricanes packing winds of more than 120 miles per hour. Yeah, it was just a blessing. So we were grateful for, the folks that it missed in Cayman Islands and Jamaica as well. But it really did a little bit of dirty to a few other places. So, our thoughts and prayers go out to those people who are affected. And if you've got families in those areas that were affected, we're with you guys in thoughts and our prayers. So, we know what that's like. We live in Florida, obviously, so we're in the cone every single year, so we know the kind of preparation, the anxiety that brings. But you know, God is still God. He's on the throne. So it could have been a lot worse around the world, obviously, but we missed it. When I say we, I mean, just the islands everywhere. Hit Mexico could have been worse again, but people give God thanks, and for the next one we prepare and pray. But anyway, we are back with Marriage in a Minute. I just had to get that out because I know that some of our followers are, you know, going through that right now with their families.
Especially in Jamaica.
Yeah,
That they
and
were hit hard.
Grenada. It was hard, but hard is relative.
Yeah.
Obviously if you're affected, it affects you 100%. So, in terms of just the country as a whole, it could have been a lot worse. But so we're grateful for those who are listening in Jamaica First Assemblies of God. Bishop Cheryl, she and I were talking as the hurricane was approaching, and they came out pretty well. So I'm so grateful for them and others who are doing better. But again, we're back to Marriage in a Minute, and I don't know where you are. So we've got to tell you about our morning. Our morning was packed with we went out to the court of course, and we played a little bit of basketball. And again, you're like, all right, they're old. Yeah, we're not old. It's just a number. We're fit.
Yeah,
So
tried
we
to,
love sporting and we love fishing. So we just do what we do.
and that's our thing. We try to stay active at our age.
Yeah.
We try to stay healthy at my age. But yeah, so it's whatever we do, we love it and we enjoy the time together doing it. So marriage is something that you have to build, and whatever you are
Do
loving to do together, just let it be something constant because it keeps fueling your marriage relationship. All right, because marriage is hard at times, but you need, just like life itself, you need an outlet, you need something that you can do together to come back together, so to
Yeah,
speak.
and enhance,
Yeah,
a little
to,
reprieve.
yeah,
So many things. I think there's so many things that fighting for our attention. But as we walk through our marriage and we walk through our relationship, you realize that when you come together, it blocks a lot of that stuff out.
yeah,
So you have more time for each other and more time to do stuff together. So that's what we found. And
yeah,
that's what we're trying to impart on you guys, that if you're just having and walking through difficulties, man, change something within your own circle, change
yeah,
something because we can't change what's happening out in the world.
yeah.
But in this house, that's where we can make changes to go forward. You stop
Yes.
me.
Now I was just waiting to say,
Go ahead.
you have the power to do it.
Yeah.
You have the power to change the situation. It's a deception when you feel like your marriage is going in a wrong direction and you can't do anything about it. You can. You just take sacrifice.
It
So,
really does.
as a matter of fact, what we're talking about today is right around that same kind of thought process. But before we do that, you want to tell them how you're outside here in Fort Lauderdale.
It's beautiful. It's
Yes.
beautiful. Get
We
out.
always do
Get
that.
out, get out, get out, get out and do something.
Yeah.
But anyway, we
Marriage
can
in a
chat.
minute.
Yeah, we can chat all day and just chat, and me, I'll take time. But last week we were talking about husbands and wives staying in their role and maintaining who God called them to be and who God want them to be. And I had seen a little story, and it wasn't a little bit of story, it was a big story. So there was a plane coming in, wow, matter of fact, from Jamaica, I think last week.
Mhm.
And the pilot had announced that the captain had announced that they're going in for a water landing, a crash landing. And there was this couple who was, they were on the news, and I was just kind of watching, like, wow, just getting the aftermath of what exactly happened. And I don't know what happened to the plane, but the idea of what happened inside of the plane was even so much more touching, where a wife was sitting next to her husband, and he had already gotten his life jacket,
Yeah.
life vest on, and she was having issues. Hers, she couldn't, it wouldn't unzip, and she couldn't get into it, or something like that, and he took his off and he gave it to his wife, and she accepted and she put it on, and he managed eventually to get his on before, and the plane didn't crash. Everything worked out wonderfully, and thank God everyone's safe. But the idea was how
Mhm.
in that moment, the husband wasn't thinking to himself, oh, we had a big fight last week and you said this to me or you did this to me, or making, and that's why we brought up Corinthians 13 verse 4 about love not keeping
Being
being
record of being wrong.
keep record of being wronged.
Yeah. So if your spouse did something to you that hurts your feelings, or an argument, and you feel like you were right and your spouse was wrong last week, and then now this week you're in a jam situation like this
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
in the
yeah,
plane.
yeah,
We don't know what happened with them
yeah.
before, but at that moment, what we're trying to say is love does not remember what happened last week.
Correct,
That's
correct.
gonna stop you from showing love now in
Could
this
you
moment.
wait? Could you imagine? He was like, I would give it to you, but you kind of upset me last week, and
Mm,
you were horrible to me, so I'm
yeah.
not gonna give you my jacket or whatever.
No, that
He
would
didn't
be.
even think about that. He was a husband, and he was Mr. Protector, and he didn't even think, there was no time, because it really was a matter of life and death, and he chose to be the
Loving.
person, loving the
Yeah.
person who God wanted him to
So
be
that
in that
means
situation.
so that means you'd have given me your jacket, right?
I
How
don't know
many of us would do
how
that?
many of
Your
us would do
spouse.
that. And that's, when you
That's the
really think
thing.
about it, that's what God did. That's what God did with his only son,
That's it.
Jesus. He said, for your sins, your transgression, I'm going to give up my son,
Yeah.
right?
God so loved
Oh
the
my
world that He
God,
gave His
that
only
he
son.
gave.
So basically, this man loved his wife so much that he gave up his life to
Yeah,
her. So basically, what we're saying is, in that moment, love has to be the number one thing.
yeah, yeah.
And love is patient. He was very patient,
He was very patient. He
understanding.
tried. He
Yeah.
let her try for a little bit, and he realized that it wasn't, but he didn't get upset with her and be like, why can't you put it on? Da, 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 da. None of that. He just quietly, he waited, and he realized that she was in trouble. So he was kind to
Yeah, that kind
her.
of approach towards
Yeah,
his
he was
wife.
patient
Yeah,
with her.
and the Bible says love does not keep record of being wrong, because if God knows, he's smart, he's wise, he's the wisest of all. He knows that if we do keep that record,
Ooh,
when a time comes when we need to be
we're gonna
supportive of each other,
remember it.
we're
Yeah,
not gonna do, we're
yeah.
not gonna show love,
We're not gonna do the right
right?
thing. Yeah,
So marriage, what we're trying to say is marriage hinges on love and respect.
yeah,
And if you don't sacrificially apply what love is, the marriage is not going to get better. It's going to keep getting worse. So in moments of hard times, and that's the time when you actually need to show love sacrificially for the marriage to build back up. And that's basically what we're saying. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 4 is the core of every great marriage.
yeah. If you
So
practice it, if you
when you put it
choose
into
to, right?
practice.
And another story, as we were preparing, I thought
Yeah.
about a friend of mine who, same thing, her husband needed a kidney, and he was just in and out of hospital. At this point, he was on dialysis. It just didn't look good, and he couldn't find a match. He was on the list or whatever for a transplant, and by chance, she decided, let me check if I am a match. And she was the perfect match. She actually went into surgery and gave him one of her kidneys. So now they each have one kidney, right? And again, at that point where it was about life and about what matters, they weren't thinking about, oh, how many arguments they had 5 years ago or what they went through last week or just issues. No, they chose to use love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It's not keeping track. And I think that's one place where we get tripped up so much in our marriages, where we become people that we don't even recognize because we're keeping track
Yeah.
of being wronged.
Yeah.
We hold on to stuff, and when we hold on to stuff, and it really is, it you can't forgive when you're holding on to stuff that's harmed you, injured you, and not to minimize those things, but the whole idea is don't keep track of it in such a way that it depletes your marriage and so that you can't fully show love to each other. And that's really what we're saying. Hold on to who you are.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm your wife, you're my husband. We've got to show love, and that's what really is. Love is about being patient. It's about being kind. It's not about being boastful or envy. And the contrast of that, and as we were talking, like we're really just trying to figure it out ourselves. Like we're saying to each other, like, man, why is it that in time, in such a really difficult time, we do the right thing,
Mm.
but on a day to day when we're in the house and
Mm.
things are happening, because not every day something like that comes up where somebody needs
Yeah.
a kidney or you're in a plane that's going down. This happens maybe once in a lifetime, but every day we're in our homes
Mm.
and we've got to get along. So why can't we switch that up and be patient, kind, and not keep.
And that on that note, the Bible also says love never fails. It
Yeah.
never gives up.
Yeah.
It never fails. It perseveres. So, like Michelle was saying just now, when things are the normal day to day,
Yeah.
that's when we are having to make sure that we don't get deceived. The number one cause of not showing love, when you think about it, is self-deception. You
Yeah.
are
That's
deceived in
good.
thinking that,
Yeah.
you're deceived in thinking that you don't have faults.
Yeah. Or yours are my
Or
faults are
or
much better than
you weigh
yours.
them, yes. And if Michelle does something that upsets me, for example, and I look at that and say, you know what, I'm gonna get upset with her back, and I'm not gonna show her love. In essence, what I'm really saying to myself is I am perfect, and that's a deception because none of us are not without flaws or faults. None of us, we upset each other. We cause arguments with each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
So if we can just overcome that self-deception
Yeah.
and stop and think and say, you know what, I'm not gonna let, because of something that happened in the past, stop me from showing love to
Yeah.
Michelle.
Yeah.
And Michelle does the same thing, or
Yeah.
you do the same thing, your spouse does the same thing, then you both come together in a more loving way. Because love fuels the marriage.
Yeah.
Malice is a poison that seeps through the marriage veins, so to speak, and just kills the roots of the marriage. So you build up a great marriage. You build up a great marriage relationship, your journey is going so well, and then boom, all of a sudden something happens, which it will happen. And then all of a sudden, because you don't exercise that power that you have to let love overcome that negative thing, you have to do it. If you don't do that, it's going to turn into resentment, all those things, and it starts dying.
Bitterness.
When you have a garden, we have a little. Michelle built this nice garden with nice grown food. I call it. I'm Jamaican, grown food and
Provision.
provision. And if we don't
Whole-
water it, if you don't water
food.
whole
Okay,
food,
no.
if you don't water it,
Mhm.
it dies.
Yeah.
You have to water your marriage with love
Yeah.
for it to.
Yeah, and that, you know what? That's what we're doing next week. What are you watering
I
your
love it.
marriage with?
Yes.
Yeah, well, not watering, because water is water. So what are you feeding your
Feeding the
marriage with?
Yes.
I love that.
She always comes up
Oh,
with that.
garden. So I'm writing that down. Oh,
What are you
God.
feeding your
Ooh.
marriage garden with?
Love it.
Yeah, that's good. But anyway, so I hope you guys understand and get the picture of what we're saying and are able to put it into practice, because knowing knowledge is power, but
Yeah.
practicing that
Yeah.
knowledge is
Yeah.
greatness in your
Yeah.
marriage, put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So anyway, we are 2 minutes away from the end of our program. Just
I
want to
actually
give
think we are
you,
at the end, but no.
I just want to give you guys some info. Remember our YouTube channel called Marriage in a Minute. I want you guys to go there, subscribe. Every video that we do, you get a notification when you subscribe to the channel. So
Yeah.
it's called Marriage in a Minute. We are doing videos. We're planning to do some exciting videos on the streets also. Talking to married couples.
First I'm hearing about this.
Yes,
I
it's a
have no
surprise to her.
idea what.
But yeah, so
I know
subscribe.
he didn't surprise. No I'm kidding.
Subscribe to
Yes.
Marriage in a Minute.
Marriage in a minute.
Also check out our website www.marriagevantagepoint.com for great resources for your marriage. All right, guys. Any last word? Any final?
No, just my final thought is the reason why we come up with some of these topics because we know in the past that situation, there's so many things competing for our attention and not just ours, your marriage. And if you let it in, it will change who you are. It change how your reaction, it change your role as a mom, it changes your role as a wife. You let it in. The Bible talks about the small foxes that spoil. So these are, if you treat them like small foxes, they are small. If you treat them like giant, killer whale, then that's who they are, and they are there to kill, steal, and destroy. But we're gonna get into this a little bit more. Now he's talking about my garden, so I'm ready to go.
That is a great one. So
Yes, it will
join
be.
us next week.
All right, you
on Marriage
guys,
in a
have a
Minute.
great week.
Have a great week. God bless you guys.
Bye.